Welcome along to the Brighton Music Conference, coming to you live and direct streaming. It's usually an affair where we probably all hang out and lots of people come and visit, but this year, obviously due to the circumstances, we are broadcasting the panels. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce the assorted assembly of people here to discuss doing it for yourself in the music industry. And I suppose all of you have come from a background of making your own career path, making opportunities happen. So I think if we start with yourself, Zach, to introduce yourself.
Hi. Zach or SUAT? My name is Zach, I guess, or SUAT, however you want to call me. I'm a DJ video creator. And that's sort of the path that I'm on at the moment. I specialize in live content, I guess. And yeah, that's something that I'm trying to grow and improve week in, week out.
Thanks, Zach. Fleur?
Hi, I'm Fleur. I like trainers and funky socks and music. I'm a DJ producer and I'm currently unemployed.
And we've got Darius here.
Hi guys, I'm Darius Syrossian. I come from a background of working nearly 15 years in a record shop from the mid-90s to the late 2000s, and when vinyl sort of crashed, I decided I don't want a 9 to 5, so I'm going to definitely make my life in music. So I started producing on a really hardcore level, believed in myself, and it kind of worked from there. So the last decade I've kind of been doing this, and yeah, so that's how I got here.
And finally, Rich.
Hi, Rich, DJ name Rich Next. I'm a producer and a DJ, and always been a musician all my life. And really, I make music and I DJ because I just love it. And everything I've done up to this point in my, my progression, my career, if you want to call it that, is really just so I can do those things I love. I just want to play, want to make music, want to have fun.
I suppose I think you four have been selected because you very much created your own opportunities and made things happen for yourselves. I think one of the best ways to learn is to hear about people's experiences. So if there's any, I suppose, anecdotes. I mean, perhaps start with you, Zach. I've seen you pop up many times and you've gained a following from walking around various locations with your decks and playing out music and built up a huge fan base. I suppose it's more a modern, contemporary story, really, of a modern DJ.
Yeah, definitely. The moving around sort of situation came as a result of lockdown. If lockdown didn't happen, then perhaps I wouldn't have come up with the concept. Before I was just doing like static live sets, whether it was in like KFC or McDonald's or wherever it is that someone could associate to, IKEA or whatever it is. So those were like the OG streams where I just like walk in with my decks and plug it in. But because of lockdown, I wanted to incorporate like exercising with the live content. So it is very a modern, like you said, like a modern sort of live stream, if you will. Like I'm trying to maximize the technology that I have to create the live content, and it seems that people kind of like it.
A lot of it is doing it for yourself, isn't it? I think music is about a community, especially dance music culture is very much, you look at something like Hot Natured, Hot Creations back in 2012. That was very much a movement of people, wasn't it? It was a collective. What are your experiences of working in collectives?
Collectives are a place where you can be safe to share and develop yourself as an artist, and also help your fellow collective crew in their development as well. I mean, myself coming from a background of, start to DJ in house parties, sometimes where it starts with people, and then wanting to do that more and more, taking it into clubs, small clubs, but all having fun, because I think one really important aspect of a career in this industry is you have to be enjoying your music, you have to be enjoying what you do, you're DJing, you're making music. From my point of view, it'd be hard to imagine doing it if I wasn't enjoying it, and really having that connection to the music and to the dance floor, So I think really it is really so important that you make a path that is natural to yourself. Like I say, coming from house parties into small clubs, and just doing the things that make you happy. Because then you can connect more with people, I think, through your music, if you're enjoying yourself. It's really an organic way to grow.
It's authentic. There's only one of you, and I suppose the best way to kind of put that across is to be yourself.
I mean, I saw an interview Scream did recently, and he said the best thing to do is be you, because nobody else can be you. But when I made it, sort of the music that I was making at the time, I was making just house music because that's what I loved. I wasn't making it to please anyone. I was just making it because that's what I wanted to. I wanted to make something that's going to make me want to dance. And at the time, it was the end of 2000s, and minimal was really big. The original minimal sound, not the minimal that is now. The minus, that kind of Richie Owen, that stuff was big. And then it jumped to the complete opposite, and it was hot-natured, that kind of new disco, a lot slower stuff. And house music wasn't really cool at all. But because it stood out and it was completely different. I mean, house music's always going to be here, but I had my own sort of sound to it. And to this day, I mean, I was talking to Ben yesterday, and he said, it was somebody in the street outside having a drink, and I was with Ben, and he said, I can tell your sound. I can hear it in your tracks straight away, and that's where you stand out. So my advice would be, when you're making music, don't try to fit a fad, because fads come and go. Try to make something that comes from the heart, that sounds like you, and it'll always be you. And that's the best advice I could give, really.
Don't fake it, essentially.
Yeah.
Fleur, tell us a bit about your story and how you kind of got into it, and from a production angle, DJ angle. Yeah,
so I started playing in Birmingham, and the one person that really pushed it for me, so this is a bit of a crazy story, I'll tell this. So I was playing at a place in Tamworth, where I'm from and where I was raised. And there was this tiny little grotty club. It was, I'm not going to say it was awful, it was good. But, them first initial gigs. And they booked someone called Tom Shorters. So he's one of my good friends now. And he plays all the time in Birmingham. And that's his sound, I guess, was originally like bass on. But now he's always collected records. But so he was playing in Tamworth. And the club that booked me was like, oh, you need to go on like first set, blah, blah, blah. And because I'd been a resident there, I was like, you know what, I'm going to stand for this. Like, I want to warm up for him because I want to talk to him and him to notice me. Do you know what I mean? Because you need to get noticed by someone. And then, so I played before him. And then as I was like mixing some tracks just before he come on, he was like, what are you? He was like, do you know my event 231 in Birmingham, which is like a massive event at the time, still is now, but it's more like a bassline sound. And I was like, yeah. He was like, I want to book it. And I was like, oh my God, like I knew, like sometimes you just have a feeling, don't you? And I knew that I had to play before him, and that's what I requested. And since then, obviously, I went on tour with Hannah once. I've been twice this year and last year. And the only reason that happened was because she's friends with Shorters, and then I got noticed through that. But that wouldn't have happened. Sometimes you've just got to push what you believe in and be genuine, really.
And I think getting out there and meeting people is so key, as much as the internet's amazing and emails are fantastic. Yeah. I mean, how many emails do you get, and how can you wade through it? A lot of it is interaction with people on a level.
Physical interaction and personal connection. I think in our society now, people don't understand that. And everyone's just so sucked into their phone. And it's like when you speak to someone, they're like, oh my God, like, you're actually having a conversation with me. And people's communication skills, I think, as well, people seem to be lacking. It's like they don't know how to approach someone. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think I agree with that. I think what's happening, a lot of upcoming DJs seem to think you have to just focus so much on social media and stuff like Instagram and stuff, and you don't really have to. I mean, look, I think Instagram now is like the MTV of what happened in the 80s and late 80s. Because if you look, music which was popular, there was Freddie Mercury, New Order, Alison Moyet, of every type of music, and it was good music, so it got pop music. And it was only until record labels realised that you can sell something on what it looks like as well as what it sounds like. That's when MTV came about, and that's when boy bands and girl bands came about. Because before that, it didn't exist. You try selling a boy band and a girl band music by just listening to it, it's just not going to sell, is it? So I think what's happened now, managers and press have realised that they can use social media and Instagram to just put people straight to the front of the queue, and you can just have a career handed on a plate. But at the same time, you can do it like Zach has in a really good way because it's genuine and it's he's based it around music and stuff. So you can use social media in a really good way, but at the same time, don't think everything has to be social media related. You can do it. I mean, I did it without that, and without a manager, I got in the RA Top 100 in 2012, and I got a nomination for Best of British Awards. So you can do it yourself. You don't need all these managers coming preying on you when you're just starting out. You've got to be really careful of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, like we're kind of identifying, that there's a few different ways to have this kind of DIY approach. Yeah. But I think, what you've kind of saying is, I mean, for instance, Zach, you've done the incredible thing with the streaming in the past kind of 6 months or so. But also before that, we'd been in touch. You'd come down to, I think it was the Fu's birthday last year, and kind of made the personal approach that you mentioned, Fleur, about actually putting yourself out there, and if you're sending music to labels and things like that, to actually, and I often say it to people, come to the events, come and say hi and immerse in that thing that you want to be in, like actually become part of it, yourself, and I think that's really important to actually have that personal connection. It's really, it's powerful.
You come across, if you're genuine about it, it'll just rub off. And
100%.
And people will be able to tell. If you're trying to fake it, people will be able to tell. So,
And it's having that investment, isn't it? It's like any good relationship. You get out what you put in. Let's be honest, and it is about kind of building a trust and building respect. And like you say, just come to the gig. I mean, from a demos point of view, I could imagine you probably all hear a lot of demos and even stuff like that. And I think clubs back when I was younger used to have drop boxes, like literal physical drop boxes, not the internet entity, where they'd say come down to the gig because they want to know that you're invested in it and a part of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
I feel like the drop boxes would actually be better. Doing that again, people need to recreate that because you're going down experiencing the vibe that you're in and you communicate with the people that you send the music to. People get so much music, but if you actually have face-to-face connection, that's what people want. You don't just want another email, really, do you?
Yeah, well, for example, with my Moxie music parties, I do them monthly in Manchester, and I've done some at 93 Feet East, which have been amazing. But I get, because upcoming talent, I always give 1 month to a new DJ, and I've spotted a few like Pac, who's now smashing it. I made him a resident, but there's been people. Sometimes I'd like 10. I like all the mixes, but I can only choose one. But I'm going to choose the one for the lad who came to the Moxie party and stayed at the end and wanted to give his USB. He made more of an effort, so I'm going to give them set to him. If I can't choose between the mixes, and there's a lot of good talent out there, I'm more likely to give it to someone. But don't be a kiss ass as well, you know what I mean?
Find the balance.
We were chatting outside, so we were talking a bit about your journey. So I suppose, within the music industry, there are certain professionals that will help your career, from managers to agents to publishers and so on. And definitely, I think I agree with what you're saying at the beginning. There's an authenticity about you making you. What are you creating? And that has to come internally. Because if you're kind of looking at other people to direct you, or you're chasing a fad, that's not real and that's not authentic. And I think all four of you are great examples of authentic, DJs, producers.
Can I say something to what you just said? It's sometimes not about how good you are as well. It's about having a platform to show how good you are. And this is why I'm always thankful to Steve Lawler, because I used to run a record shop in Leeds, and I used to take coaches from Leeds to Manchester to play upstairs in the top room at Sankey's for 50 quid. And I did that for years, and I would always smash it. And people come up to me, what's your name? But I never got a break. So it was only when David Vincent, who actually ran Sankey's, said to me, look, Steve Lawler's playing in the main room, and this was 2008. And he said he wants someone who can warm up properly, and I know you can do it, because the last time people were banging it out and he had nowhere to start from. So that's when I met Steve for the first time, and I'd had all these own tracks that I'd made, and I was on CD, playing CD, and it was absolutely going off. It was like 2,000 people sold out, and I thought, I can't play these because they're going to go off. But I thought, you know what? I actually took them out of the CDJ, and Steve had just come in, and his brother and everyone. I thought, I'm playing it. The last 3 tunes, I put them on, and Steve literally went, what's this track? What's this track? And at the end he went, can you put your number on there? And then email. And it was Olympics 2008. I was in the record shop, we were winding down the shop, and I was just looking at the Olympics. So 3 emails popped up, Steve Lawler. And he's like, mate, I don't know who you are, but these tracks are amazing. I've got a Livio and Roby track. If you can remix for my label as good as this, I'm taking you on tour. And I thought, bloody hell. And I did the track, and he signed us, and that was it. And then I was on tour all over the world with him. I went to Canada, America, South America tour. And for that reason, I'll always be thankful for Steve, because he gave me the platform. I knew I could smash it, and I knew I could play properly. But I went on tour with him, and everywhere I went, all these fans who came to see Steve heard me play, and I just got all these fans from all over the world. And since then, I've just had the chance to show what I can do as well. So you have to be lucky with that as well. But if you make a connection with anyone who's in the scene, who is on your level, you know, keep that connection going, you know, because they can help you as well. And I now try to help upcoming acts as much, because I know how much Steve did for me. I want to do it for someone else as well, you know.
Absolutely. So it's a mentoring thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I've had the similar thing in the studio. We were running events, you know, putting on a party because I wanted to DJ, you know. And through that, you know, we'd invite people to come and play, people who are producing really well, and got to spend time in the studio with people. Really cool producer, Ludovic Vendy, once came across. Our party unfortunately got shut down before it started, but he was so sound that he stayed with us. We went out to another couple of parties, and then the next day did some time in the studio. And that's, you know, and from a little connection like that, I learned so much about Ableton, you know, and that like put me as a producer, you know, probably a couple of years ahead as I was the day before, you know. So them little opportunities that just happen, you know, and then you make a connection, you know, be open to them definitely, because, you know, watching other people is such a good way to learn stuff, you know, and in my experience, you know, the kind of tutorial stuff that I've started doing, you really enjoy it. You want to learn with people, and you learn more things yourself, you know. So the connections and the mentoring is really important, like you say.
I suppose each of you individually has kind of got your own platforms in some ways. You know, you've got your events brand and label. You've got your label and events brand. The Tamworth gig came from, you know, you being in the scene and on the local scene. You've created a platform for people to view it. I mean, it is very much doing it for yourself. And then at what point do you need the help when you're travelling internationally?
What was the question?
So, we were discussing agents earlier, and Zach said that he was doing it himself initially. And I said, well, how did that kind of work out? And I suppose the pillars of the industry, you know, the agents, the management, that sort of thing. At which point...
Okay, a very good question. And there's 3 different things that you need. You could be an amazing producer, and you could be on a tiny agency, and you'll get loads of gigs because people want to book you. You could buy your way into the biggest agency. You won't get gigs. So the agent isn't that important. Sorry, the agent actually probably isn't as important as the other things, because like I was just saying before, you could be a massive, a great producer on a tiny agency. If people want to book you, they'll book you anyway, right? And then you need somebody to do your publishing and PRS, because that's more important than ever because of streaming. So there's a lot of managers that wing that side of it, and they don't know the details of how it should probably be done, because you've got neighbouring rights, publishing, PRS. You need to get all of this right, because I signed the wrong deals when I first started out, and I didn't have the correct managers. So that is very important. And obviously, there's 3, didn't I? What was the other thing?
You tell us.
The agent and the manager, and there was something else. Can't remember.
Brain fart.
Brain's gone blank.
There's only so much you can do, though, surely. It comes a point, has to be a focus. I mean, again, we were talking, you're multidisciplinary. You all are. It's studio time, DJ time, events time.
Time management.
Yes.
You know, I think it's quite a key thing, you know, having your focus on the time where you spend in the studio, whether it be 2 hours or whether it be a whole day, having a goal for what you want to achieve in that 2 hours or in that 8 hours, you know, because you're much more likely to succeed at what you're trying to do if you make it realistic. You know, if you decide you want to make an album in a month and you don't pull it off, you might feel a bit crap at the end of it. But if you think, I'm just going to concentrate on making one good loop today in my 2 hours, and managing that time, because then I do believe that quality over quantity in terms of releasing music. So that one amazing 3-track EP will do more for you than 4, mediocre EPs. And so I think if you can, and that's where time management comes in, because then you can manage to do that and gig at the same time and recover and spend time with your family. If you plan your time, plan your rest time, plan your day off, and then you stand yourself in a better stead. Really, I firmly believe the time management is a really important part of this. And like you say, when the time becomes so restricted that you start to need some help with your publishing, an agent to manage your bookings, maybe open more doors for you. That's all great, but I think like Darius was saying, that can come, and that probably will come on its own when the time is right. So maybe don't try and seek that, because it'll probably seek you, when the time is right.
Yeah, totally spot on what you're saying. And I think where you're aiming, who you're aiming your music to is important. Don't try to aim your music to the masses, because I always believe that 70% of people who go clubbing will like what they're told to like. So whatever the magazines and the press hype up, people will like that. Now, if you're going to aim at these people are very fickle. They'll jump ship when you're not cool anymore. Because when you first break through, you're cool. Everybody wants to know you. Then when the next cool people come, they will jump ship really quick. Try to please always the people who genuinely like your music for you, because they'll be your fans forever. And if you have a trajectory that goes like this, it's way better than having a trajectory that goes like this. You know what I mean? If you have your sound and you're bubbling along, you'll never be number one, but you'll stay around forever. And you'll always be relevant forever because you've got real fans. I've still got people I see at gigs. I did a social distancing gig in Maidstone, and this girl came up and she said, I've been your fan for like 10 years. I was there. I heard your first record in 2009. That was like a long time ago. And still my fan, because she genuinely likes the music. It wasn't the fact that Mixmag hyped me up or DJ Mag hyped me up, or I got told that this romantic story that I was there when, you know what I mean? It's like, just aim your music at people who are going to like your music.
Arguably, it's more accessible to be able to create a platform nowadays. Easy is not the right word, because it's certainly not easy, but it's accessible. The internet is a fantastic medium, as you've seen in your journey yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, it's accessible, and on the other side of the coin, because it's so accessible, everyone has a social media profile now. The market is very saturated with, you could just search London DJ and there'd be thousands of results. All how are you going to distinguish between them? So, but just going back to what these guys said, like about building a platform and about establishing yourself, I think the underlying theme for it all, whatever it is, if you're a producer, a songwriter, or a master baker, the underlying theme is the hard work and the work ethic. Whether you're, like Rich said, programming in your rest time and when you're going to see the family and whatever it is, you got to work your plan around your lifestyle and then just drill away at it. Like, it's only very recently in modern times that people come up overnight and blow up. That wasn't a term 20 years ago. And so, like, what people need to understand is that you might have a goal and you see all these people on Instagram posting photos, of playing to 4,000 people, 5,000 people. That might be your long-term goal, but you've got to drill away at it for 20 years. You've got to put the time in and the effort in, and then only after 20 years you might start seeing some results. But it's in a time and an age where I'm comparing myself to her and she's comparing herself to him, and what people are missing is all of the hard work and the grafts and the blood, sweat and tears that's gone into building that profile and building that platform. It's very easy to showcase the best parts of your life, but what no one showcases is, the fact that you don't want to get up at 6 a.m. to do an edit, or you don't want to fly from Manchester to Dubrovnik to do a gig. And yeah, so like I said, the underlying theme is consistency and hard work, and whatever you want to do will come as a result of that. And the relationships that you form, whether that's agency or management or guys doing your PRS, they'll come into play at the right time. I feel like if you go, right, today I need a manager because I feel like I'm too busy at the moment, either you are correct, but the 98% chance is that you can just work harder and do it yourself until the right people come into your life, and at which point you'll know you need a manager because you're flying between places and you're swamped. You can't even spend time with your family. It's affecting your lifestyle. So yeah, I think that's definitely the underlying theme is the hard work and consistency.
And I definitely think that. And I think as well what people do fail to forget now, whether that's like up and coming DJs, they want it now.
Yeah,
and
I was about to say the same.
Instagram.
Carry on.
And it's like that isn't that. I don't even think that isn't just the music industry. That is everybody that's in society now. Everybody wants it now, but it's like you can't blame people for feeling like that because we live in this fast-paced society now. Like even you order something off Amazon, you can't even wait a day, and then it's like quick, and it's like so people see like a platform on social media, like you said, someone playing to 5,000 people, and they're like, oh, I want that, and it's like. They go at it for 6 months and then they start getting all down because they're like, oh, I haven't got that yet. And it's like, yeah, that's took 10 years to get there.
Yeah.
Like, people
That's
don't
the thing that
realise.
they don't want. They don't associate that image of like greatness and like that, you know, that ultimate goal. They don't associate that with all of the back end of the hard work and all of the shit that you've had to put up with if you've been broke for 6 months like most of us have or whatever it is. Like that's the part which obviously because you wouldn't publicize that on your profile because your profile, this is something that I was speaking to Ben about, your profile, whether people like it or not, is, you know, if my Instagram profile is similar to a LinkedIn profile, if I was applying for a banking job or a job in an oil company or whatever, that's what sort of shows your journey, it's your portfolio, right? So you're not going to publicize whatever it is, blisters on your feet or, you know, your poor bank account because you don't want people to, well, no one wants someone to see them in that negative light. Well,
Why
not
are we
necessarily.
so scared? Do you
Yeah,
think?
no, it's
Why are we so scared of that? We are scared, aren't we? Like social media, you have to create an image, and we are scared to show the negative times. But
and then if someone on social media exercises, you know, don't you just hate when this happens? And it's something that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yes, I hate when that happens. I hate having to wake up in the morning, whatever it is. Like, and more you'll see the personalities that are showing the good times and the bad times in their life. They're the ones that people can really relate to because
it's the truth.
Yeah, because it's not a case of
Truth.
me getting on a private jet and flying somewhere else, which is completely unrelatable and unachievable for most people. When you say, oh, like, don't you hate it when your egg yolk goes like this? Everyone can relate to that, right? And instantly you feel like part of that person's platform or part of that person's life. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say both things that you guys said, which is amazing. But, you know, people don't see the gigs you did for 50 quid, like I was talking about before, and the times you got turned down, like, for example, another thing I was going to say is about your tracks. Believe in yourself. If somebody else says it's no good, doesn't necessarily mean it's true. I don't know if people know a track I did called Freaky D in 2012. I made it, and at the time, I just met Richie Ahmed, so I was going to send it to him, but I thought I'll do it the normal way and send it to the, I think somebody called Ed Carney. So I sent it to him, and do you remember, I was just starting out here, and I got a really blunt email back. He must have been having a bad day. So he was like, what was it? Something like, I wish you would understand the label before you send the music in. I was like, whoa. Now, if I was not thick-skinned like I am, I'd be like, it just totally destroy me. But I thought, you know what, no, I'm playing Sankey's this weekend, and Solomon was there, Heidi was there, and Richie Ahmed was there. And I played it upstairs, and after all three of them heard it, outside, we were on the way to an after party. Richie Ahmed wanted it for Hot Creations, Heidi wanted it for Jackathon, and Solomon wanted it for, what was his label again? Dynamic. All three of them wanted to sign it. And in the end, Steve Lawler took it for his Viva thing, saying, you're on Viva, you've got it in it. I remember there was a bit of banter at all of them at Sonar that summer, saying it should have been my track, it should have been my track. If I'd have deleted that, because I nearly did, you know, that track did a lot for me. You just got to believe in yourself, and just because you get rejected from sending some demos out, don't be disheartened.
Be resilient.
It's just one person's opinion. Yeah.
And you are you. You're the original version of yourself. And if you're making something that's the uniqueness is that, isn't it? I suppose it's not something that's not being offered already.
Yeah, I was going to pick up on what you were saying as well, Zach. I mean, about character, because everyone has a different character, right? Yeah. You demonstrated a real tenacity there and a perseverance to get that track out. You know, and not everyone can do this. You can share that kind of stuff, and people relate to it. Not everyone's extroverts and introverts. You know, we all have different characters, and some people can do the real personal stuff really well. because it comes naturally. It doesn't come naturally to everybody. You know, some people have to be more like tenacious and really concentrate on that, or be really like, you know, just, you know, produce this, you know, this music. You know, so I think everyone has their strengths, you know, and weaknesses, and it's about not letting them make you dejected or disheartened. You know, that you're not, you know, playing to 5,000 people or whatever, because, you know, that whole thing of the comparisons of social media and mental health is can be dangerous. You know, so embracing who you are, you know, your character. And trying to work with what you got, you know.
Do you know those hard gigs at the beginning where you're playing gigs where, you know, it's easy to walk into a gig where there's 5,000 people and smash it because they're there to have a great time. When those gigs when you're playing the third room and all the other big DJs in the other rooms and you've got to fill that room, that really tests you as a DJ. Doing those, earning your stripes, makes you a better DJ in the long run. And I did a long time of that, a long time from early 2000s to 2010. I did all those gigs for 50 quid, 75 quid.
Creates a resilience.
It made me a better DJ.
It makes you a resilient character, I think, you know, and to have the drunk person come up and ask you for Kylie when you're trying to do something that's serious. But, you know, not all respect to Kylie, but, you know, ultimately when you know, it gives you this thick skin. And I think that's what we were saying about the trajectory earlier. Just, you know, there's a bit of a journey as regards to figuring out yourself. You know, we talk about the social media thing. You've got people like Bonobo, they post amazing pictures of like wildlife and scenery, whereas you've got other DJs that are kind of like doing pranks or being a bit more, you know, tenacious, I suppose. So it's about finding yourself a little bit as well and finding your identity, I suppose. Would that be fair to say?
And I think, like you're saying about you playing that for 10 years, and knowing the warm-up and respecting it. Yeah. The warm-up is an art, and I think people failed to realise that, especially if you break in overnight and, you know, you break through overnight. It's like you need to respect that. You actually need years to learn that, because what about when you're playing big room, first set, and you can't just absolutely blast it out. You've got to respect the warm-up, and it is an art. People do definitely forget that, yeah.
So important. I mean, I did warm up at 93 for so many years when Fuse first started, and before that in the house parties and playing like a set for 6-8 hours where everyone's chatting over there, you know. But you know, you love your music, so you're just there. You're still playing that music.
It's a bigger skill.
You know, it's so important for your development.
Yeah, it's a bigger skill to get 50 people to come into an empty room than it is to smash 5,000 people who are already standing there waiting to take it.
It's like, it's easy. The 5,000 is easy.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's
a bigger skill
to that.
And it'll give you perspective as well, because you're like, wow, this is amazing. And like you get there and the decks are working and you've got a sound engineer and you're like, wow.
So doing those gigs, it's part of learning, and it will help you in the long run. So don't think, if you're an upcoming artist and you've got these gigs, and don't be disheartened, because it all adds to it. It's all part of it.
Yeah, it's character building. I think this can be like extrapolated, obviously, not just from the DJ world, but any profession or sector, wherever it is. You look at, like, you know, the top billionaires in the world. If you say, like, you know, what are your 5 tips? That it's going to be hard work, it's going to be consistency, it's going to be resilience. And I think that no one who's a successful in any field has been disheartened or been, you know, set back by someone's comment or a rejection from a label. You just keep trying. If it's something that you really love as well, this is something which I was explaining to, like, my friends, is that I went to uni and I thought I wanted to do the course at uni, which was engineering, but I worked out that when I was there, I hated it, and this isn't actually what I wanted to do. But then I came off and I found this music, and because I see it as a passion, and I'm so passionate about making people dance and feel entertained and feel the vibe that I'm listening to in my headphones, I don't see it as work. I don't see it as, I mean, obviously it is work, but I don't see it as like, oh, for God's sake, I've got to go and now sit in the studio, or I've got to go and put a cat shirt on and walk around town, whatever it is. Like, if you're passionate about it, you won't perceive it as work, and I feel like because of that, you can work harder at it and just keep going with it. Like, you know, you look at the top billionaires, and they've been working for 40 years before they were a billionaire. So I think that's just, and it's another result of social media. So one of the negative parts about social media is the instantness of it. You can get a like when you post a photo, and that sort of translates to me feeling good because I've got 100 likes on this photo. But on the other side of the coin, what people don't see is that you have to spend time and dedicate effort and time into getting that photo or getting that track or that release or whatever it is. So yeah, again, resilience is just something that, not just in the DJing industry, not just in the baking industry, anything you need, you need that as a person. And I think also social media can strip people of that, because people can look at their phone, they can get all the interactions they need, they can get dinner delivered, they can get an email sent, they can get their, whatever it is, their dog taken for a walk just from their phone. People are losing that. Yeah.
It's a really good, I'm not sure if you've seen the Defiant ones with Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine on Netflix, but there's a great quote from Jimmy Iovine, and he talks about horses racing and they have blinkers. So they don't see the other horses, and they're just focused on their own thing. And I thought that was the one of the key things I took back from that was just sometimes this watching Instagram and going, oh, why am I not doing that? Or it creates a negativity within you. It creates this like, I don't know, it's not a positive thing. You need to be in a positive, healthy mindset.
And
Do you try and avoid social media now as much? Or
I think what I was going to say was, I think we need to just accept it for what it is and don't let it use us. We've got to use it, because it's so easy to get sucked into it. Everybody does. But I think that you've just got to use it as a tool to get to your end goal or your goals on the way there. Definitely use it as a tool and not let it use you.
who said that?
I don't know.
It was a famous Prince.
Okay, yeah.
I know he said it I think there was a quote of him and he just said, don't let it use you, which I think is an amazing phrase, really.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's easy to get sucked into it, and I think time away from it as well. Like, I'm going on holiday next week and I'm going to delete everything for 10 days. I don't want to look at that when I'm away.
Thing is as well, like I said before, don't try to please the masses. So you might look at DJs who have been manufactured a little bit, and they do exist. They are out there. Don't look at them and think, oh, they've got that many likes. But like I said, they're pleasing the masses. You don't know if they're actually enjoying what they're doing, a lot of them, because when you have to please the masses, you're not playing what you really want. So if you actually look at the credible DJs that I like, a lot of them, they get less likes on Instagram and stuff, but the likes that they do get are genuine, and the people that are into what they're making, there's 500 real likes instead of 30,000 likes, because all those 30,000 thought they've got to like it as well because it's what I'm told to like. You know what I mean? So likes don't matter, man. It's who is actually into your music that matters. And if you're making music which has a certain sound, it's more likely to be a bit more underground and less pop. Well, it's not commercial, is it? So it's less people are going to like it, but they're going to love it. So I'd rather less people loved what I do than loads of people think they should like what I do. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I like going back to the hard work thing. The tip of the iceberg analogy is always quite good. People only ever see the success, which is the tip of the iceberg. They don't see the massive kind of the bulk of the iceberg underneath, and that's all the hard work, determination, years of kind of dedication. I mean, we're seeing it with artists, someone like Honey Dijon's a great example, been grafting for years, and someone I think said to me, oh, where's she come from? And I was like, Chicago.
I used to sell records.
Been grafting for God knows how long. And now, and Black Madonna's another great example,
I used to sell records to Honey Dijon in my record shop. She came in 2004. And I had a Derek Carter section, Chicago house section, and I decided, because she used to come and play at Basics in Leeds, so I was writing Honey Dijon section. Now she's from Chicago, I think. Yeah, she actually running down the stairs. Literally that moment, I was like, oh look. But and everyone used to sign the table who'd come in. But people think she's just come from nowhere. She's grafted for a long time,
Yeah. People see the success, and I think that's the danger with social media, isn't it? So I suppose the accessibility of doing it for yourself now, you can put out your own record, you can put out your own party. What other advice would you give to aspiring DJs, producers?
One thing I wanted to pick up on was as hard as you have to work, you also need to know when to have a break, So, and I managed to kind of learn it over the years, is when it's not clicking in the studio, you just walk away, walk away and do something else, go for a walk, do a binge on some TV or whatever, and just treat your mind to a break, because it's like if you really want to get something done, you can get caught in a loop with it, and it can be quite stressful and make you feel down. you know, and then that's not cultivating and looking after your creativity in any way. So absolutely, you know, as important as it is to work hard, you need to know when to just step off as well and be good to yourself, you know, because it'll be better in the long run.
Yeah, definitely great. I think especially nowadays as well, it feels even more kind of to have that time away is key.
Bringing the media into it and everything, definitely, you know, got to look after yourself.
I always find I'm more creative at night time. I don't know why, but I think it's I think it's scientifically proven that you're more creative at night. Your brain is more creative at night. I read that somewhere, but I've noticed that when I think about all my biggest tracks, they were always made in the middle of the night, like sort of. So I just think whenever you feel like making music as well, do it.
Yeah.
If you've suddenly got that feeling where you think you're going to come out with something good, get in the studio straight away.
So
get on it.
There's a creative mindset called flow. I'm not sure if you've ever heard about it or read into it, but it is fascinating. Why do you write a track in 45 minutes and then the next week you're stuck there for like 6 hours going, this isn't clicking, and there's something in that.
Yeah, you
there
can't
really
force
is.
it. If it's going to come, it's coming.
It's the right amount of stress. There's like a few things that come together, but flow's the only time when I think there's 5 chemicals that are released into your brain at the same time. It's like and I think the tech community particularly are doing a lot of research into it, but the more I've read into it, the more I'm like, oh, that explains a lot, you know?
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Is that like flow state?
I wish
Flow state.
Yeah,
I wish when you were saying that, the camera could get Ben Sterling's face because he looked well interested in what you were saying.
Gorming.
But for further reading, I mean, you clearly know a little bit
I've read
about...
into flow states
Yeah.
and stuff, and I think that you can actually get into a flow state by sort of keeping your head as straight as possible. So like, I don't know about anyone else, but for me, like say when I eat really clean, I meditate every day and go to the gym, I really can produce some good stuff. But say if I've had like a heavy weekend, I wake up and I'm like on the Monday like, oh God, I do not want to do that. But if I can keep as strict as possible, then I'm, you know, I can make so much more better stuff.
What would your advice then be for aspiring producers, DJs?
I'd definitely say, like, for me, meditation has really helped, and having a healthy diet and going to the gym, that helped me. Well, that has helped me a lot. And not to put the pressure on yourself, really. I know it's so easy to, like you're saying about, like, walk away. It's so easy to not walk away. And then you said it took you a few years to get to where you know you've got to walk away, but I'm guessing did you have to go through the stressful time to realise you had to walk away in it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's, yeah, you kind of learn it along the way, don't you? Or sometimes you get told it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you got, you know, someone you live with, and you know, so, you know, you should take a little break. You know, you need to listen to your friends and your family as well. Definitely. Yeah.
You forget that, you know, it's just a normal job, and you can, if you had a normal job, a 9 to 5, you just book holiday for a week. Do you know what I mean? People forget that.
Dance music never stops.
I know, seriously.
I think it's the international, it's time zones, it's global, and I think that's probably the pressure, and I've probably felt it in my time of like, it's relentless.
You'll give yourself less pressure if... don't make one big track and then you know it's going to be big and then send it out, because you've got to have consistency. So put it in the bank. So, for example, what I did... when I stopped the record shop, I thought, right, I'm going to make 6 really massive tunes, like really big. Not just good, but big. So I made a couple, I tested them out, and knew they were going to be massive. I saved them. Because it's not going to expire. If it's a good track, it's going to be timeless. So I saved them. So I knew that when I got my first track signed, I told the label, you can only release it when I get the other 5 signed. Because I want one every month that's going to be huge in a row. Because if you come out and you make a big tune, everyone goes, oh, wicked. Then they forget. If you wait another 9 months, you've gone back down again. But if you go bang, big tune, bang, big tune, bang, big tune, bang, everyone's going to be like, whoa. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I did. That's the plan I made up for myself in my head, and it worked. So
Momentum.
Yeah. When you've made some good one, put it away, and then negotiate with the labels really well. Be confident. Don't let them bully you. Say, I'm only going to give you this if you're going to wait until I've signed the other ones, and then it has to be 5 weeks after this, and then you're just going to come straight in there, bang, and just slap everyone in the face with your tunes, you know. So that's what I did, really.
Zach, finally yourself.
Yeah, just going back to Rich's knowing when to stop. Like, it's very easy because of the modern era to compare yourself to like your neighbouring partner, or you know, and you refer to the blinkers analogy. It's very easy to compare yourself, and because of that, it was going to put a lot of pressure on you. Whether that's releasing music. You know, if you know that your competitor is releasing loads of tracks every week, that's going to make you more stressed about your track and your production. But ultimately, the goal is to enjoy the journey, and with enjoying the journey, your fans and everyone around you will feel that. So like getting bogged down and stressed out about a track or how many different kick drums you've gone through this, it's not about that. It's about enjoying the experience, and from that will come your success, I think. If you're like a stressed out person that's like, oh shit, I've got my set in 10, pardon me if I swore, got my set in 10 minutes. If you're stressed out about that, the crowd are going to feel that, the promoter's going to feel it. You just got to be you and enjoy the process. And just speaking from my own experience, like it's so easy to get bogged down in the numbers or the technicalities, or do I filter my kick drum at 48 hertz or 52 hertz? Like that's unimportant in the grand scheme of creating your own career path.
Definitely. Well, we all appreciate the advice. I think it's been amazing to hear your respective stories and have those little nuggets. Hope everyone's found it of use. Thanks for joining us at the Brighton Music Conference. More coming up tomorrow. This is the final panel for the day, but I think you can watch again online. Thank you to Rich, Darius, Fleur, Zach.
Thank you.
Go check them out online. See you soon.